Welcome back to computer science classes. Session 48. Topic database triggers. Benefits of triggers, types of triggers, cursors and types of cursors. So which comes under chapter 7 PLSQL. So first of all, what is meant by database triggers? Triggers are stored programs which are automatically executed or fired when some events occur. Triggers are stored programs which are automatically executed or fired when some events occur. Triggers are in fact written to be executed in response to any of the following events. It's having some following events like a database manipulation statement. So it has delete, insert and update. The data manipulation is nothing but DML statements. DML statement include delete, insert and update. And database definition statement is there. DDL, data definition statement, create, alter, drop. And third one, database operation. In database operation it includes server error, log on, log off, start off or shut down. So once again, so it has database triggers as following events. The event one is called database manipulation statement, is nothing but DML, which includes the commands of delete, insert or update. Second one, database definition statement, is nothing but DDL, so which includes the commands create, alter or drop. Third one, database operation, the database operation which includes server error, log on, log off, start off or shut down. So these are the events. So triggers could be defined on the table, view, schema or database with which the event is associated. Fine. Database triggers database objects created through the SQL Star Plus tool on the client and stored on the server in the Oracle's engine system table. The distinct sections of database triggers are a named database event. Second one, a PLSQL block that will execute when the event occurs. The occurrence of the database event is strongly bound to table and data being changed. Definition of procedures that are implicitly executed when an insert, update or delete is issued against a table from SQL Star Plus or through an application are called database triggers. Definition of procedures that are implicitly executed when an insert, update or delete is issued against a table from SQL Star Plus or through an application are called database triggers. They are fired implicitly by the Oracle engine itself and not explicitly called by the user, because they are fired implicitly by the Oracle engine itself and not explicitly called by the user. That is called as database triggers. So what is the use of database triggers? What are the uses of database triggers? So here a trigger can permit DML statement which are include insert, delete, update against a table only if they are issued during regular business hours or on predetermined weekdays. A trigger can also be used to keep an audit trail of a table, that is to store the modified and deleted records of the table. A trigger can also be used to keep an audit trail of a table, that is to store the modified and deleted records of the table along with the operation performed and the time on which operation was performed. Fine. So next one, it can be used to prevent invalid transactions. Means database triggers can be used to prevent invalid transactions. Suppose any invalid transactions are there, automatically that will be prevents from this type of invalid transactions. Next one, it is used to enforce complex security authorization. It is It can be used to enforce complex security authorization. So these are the uses of database triggers. The one is a trigger can permit DML statement. Second one, a trigger can also be used to keep an auditing trail of the table. Third one, it can be used to prevent invalid transactions. Fourth one, it can be used to enforce complexity security authorization. So next, cascading triggers also there. Cascading triggers, what is meant by cascading triggers? What is meant by cascading triggers? When a trigger is fired in SQL statement, inside the trigger's PL SQL code, block can also fire the same or some other trigger. When a trigger is fired in SQL statement, inside the trigger's PL SQL code, block can also fire the same or some other trigger. Excessive use of triggers for customizing the database can result in complex interdependencies between the triggers, which may be difficult to maintain in a large application. That is called as cascading triggers. So what is the difference between triggers and procedures? Triggers do not accept parameters, but procedures accept parameters. Triggers executed implicitly, but procedures are executed explicitly. These two are called the main difference between triggers and procedures. Difference between procedures and triggers: triggers do not accept parameters. Here, procedures accept the parameters. Triggers are always execute implicitly, but parameters are always execute explicitly. A trigger has three basic parts. The one is called a trigger as a triggering event or statement. Second one is called a trigger restriction, and third one is called trigger action. What is meant by trigger event? It is SQL that causes a trigger to be fired. It can be insert, update or delete statement for a specific table. Trigger restrictions means it specifies a boolean or logical expression that must be true for the trigger to fire. So what is trigger action? It is a PL SQL code to be executed when a triggering statement is encoded and any trigger restriction evaluates true. That is called as trigger action. So next, types of triggers. So here, types of triggers, we have two types of triggers. One is row trigger and the second one is called statement trigger. What is meant by row trigger? Row trigger once for every row affected by the triggering statement. A row trigger is fired each time a row in the table is affected by the triggering statement. That is called as a row trigger. Once for every row affected by the triggering statement, a row trigger is fired each time a row in the table is affected by the triggering statement. Second one is called statement trigger. Once for the triggering statement, no matter how many rows it affects, a statement trigger is fired once on behalf of the triggering statement. Independent of the number of rows the triggering statement affects, even if no rows are affected. That is called as statement trigger. So one is called row trigger and second one is called statement trigger. So row trigger is fired each time a row in the table is affected by the triggering statement. If an update statement updates multiple rows of the table, a row trigger is fired. Okay. So if the triggering statement affects no rows, the trigger is not executed at all. Row triggers should be used when some processing is required whenever a triggering statement affects in a single row in a table. So statement trigger is fired once on behalf of the triggering statement, independent of the number of rows the triggering statement affects, even if no rows are affected. Statement triggers should be used when a triggering statement affects rows in a table, but the processing required is completely independent of the number of rows affected. Triggers can also be classified based on the triggering timing, that is when the triggering action to be executed in relation to the triggering statement. This can be applied with both rows triggers and statement triggers. Before trigger is also there. Before trigger means it executes the trigger action before the triggering statement. It executes the trigger action before the triggering statement. It is commonly used in the following situation. It is used when the trigger action should be determined whether or not the triggering statement should be allowed to complete. Second one, it is used to derive specific column values before completing a triggering insert or update statement. After trigger is also there. It executes the triggering action after the triggering statement is executed. It executes the trigger action after the trigger statement is executed. Common in the following situation. It is used when the triggering statement should complete before execution of the trigger action. If before trigger is already present and after triggering can perform different sections on the same triggering statement. Combination of triggers. There are 4 combination of triggers are there. Before statement trigger, before row trigger, after statement trigger, after row trigger. So these are the combinations of trigger. Before statement trigger, a trigger action is executed before execute the triggering statement. Before statement trigger means the trigger action is executed before execution the triggering statement. Before row trigger, the trigger is executed before modifying each row affected by the triggering statement and before applying appropriate integrity constraint. After statement trigger, the trigger action is executed after executing the triggering statement and apply any deferred integrity constraint. Any deferred integrity constraints. After row trigger, after modifying each row affected by the triggering statement and applying appropriate integrity constraint, the trigger action is executed for the current row. After row triggers have rows locked. Deleting a trigger. So suppose if you want to delete a trigger, then you can use one command that is called as drop trigger. This statement is used to delete a trigger with the name trigger name. Suppose if you want to create a trigger, for example, create a or replace trigger, schema trigger name, before, after, delete, insert, update, on schema table name, declaration is there, variable declaration, constant declaration, begin, PLSQL program, exception PLSQL block, end. So this is the main brief concept of triggering. So next, what are the advantages of triggering? So benefits of triggering or advantages of triggering. So here we have some advantages related to triggering. What are the advantages of triggering? So here the first one, generating some derived column values automatically. Generating some derived column values automatically. This is the first advantages of triggering. This is the first advantage of triggering. Second one, enforcing referential integrity. Second one, enforcing referential integrity. Enforcing referential integrity. So third one, event logging and storing information on table access. Event logging and storing information on tables. Storing information on tables. Next, auditing. So this is the main advantage. Auditing purpose, we can use triggering. Auditing. Next one, synchronous replication of tables. Synchronous replication of tables. Next, imposing security authorization. Imposing security authorization. The last one, preventing invalid transactions. So these are the benefits or advantages of triggering: generating some derived column values automatically, enforcing a referential integrity, event logging and storing information on the data table access, auditing, synchronous replication of tables, imposing security authorization, preventing invalid transaction. So this is called as advantages of triggers. Next, cursors. What is cursor? What is the use of cursor here? So here, what is meant by cursor? A cursor is a pointer to this context area. A cursor is a pointer to this context area or memory area. Memory area is nothing but context area. PLSQL controls the construct area through a cursor. A cursor is a pointer to this construct area is nothing but memory area. PLSQL controls the context area through a cursor. A cursor holds the rows one or more written by a SQL statement. The set of rows the cursor holds, it refers to as the active set. The set of rows the cursor holds is referred to as active set. Actually, the cursor management Oracle creates a memory area known as context area for processing an SQL statement, which contains all information needed by processor processing the statement. For example, number of rows processed, etc. You can name a cursor so that it could be referred to a program to fetch and process rows written by the SQL statement. So the Oracle engine was work area for internal processing in order to execute an SQL statement. This area is provided to SQL operations and called a cursor. It's also called as cursor. Okay, fine. In cursor, we have two types of cursor. How many types of cursor? We have two types of cursor. One is called implicit cursor, second one is called explicit cursor. Implicit cursors means loop cursor, parameter cursors are also there. Implicit cursor means if an Oracle engine opens a cursor for its internal processing is known as implicit cursor. If an Oracle engine opens a cursor for its internal processing is known as implicit cursor. So implicit cursors are automatically created by Oracle whenever an SQL statement is executed. When there is no explicit cursor for the statement, programmers cannot control implicit cursor and the information in it. So implicit cursors are automatically created by the Oracle. Programmers cannot control the implicit cursor and the information on it. Here I have one simple example program. So declare total rows number to begin, update customers, salary, set salary equals salary plus 500. If SQL not found, then DBMS output will print no customer selected. Else if SQL is found, then total rows, SQL percentage row count, DBMS output will print customers selected. Once you are not selected customers, next time you can select the customer. That is called the simple example to implicit cursor. The second one is called explicit cursor. Explicit cursor, you use a defined cursor which can be opened for processing data through a PLSQL block. On demand is called explicit cursor. A user defined cursor which can be opened for processing data through a PLSQL block on demand is called explicit cursor. And individual records in a table have to be processed inside a PLSQL code block. A cursor is used. This cursor will be declared and mapped to an SQL query in the declare section of the PLSQL block and used within an executable section. This is called explicit cursor. Subsequently, sometimes the cursors are controlled by three commands. One is called open command, second one is called fetching command, and third one is called close. So declaring command is also there. Declaring command, we can declare the cursor. Open command opens customer. Example, open command is nothing but to open the cursor allocates memory. Fetching the cursor involves accessing one row at a time is called fetching. Closing the cursor means releasing the allocated memory is called close. So for example, declare cursor customers will be declared. Open C customers. Fetch means fetch C customers into C ID, customer ID, customer and customer address. Closing means close customers. So here we are having so many steps to create explicit cursor. So we have first cursor declaration is there. Cursor name is select statement. Step 2, opening a cursor, open cursor name. Step 3, fetching a record from the cursor, fetch cursor name into variable 1, variable 2. Step 4, fetching in a loop. Step 5, existing from the fetch loop. Step 6, closing a cursor. Suppose if you want to open, then we can use reopen cursor name, explicit cursor attributes. So totally, suppose if you want to declare any explicit cursor, then we can have 4 steps. The first step is declaring the cursor for initializing the memory. Second step, opening the cursor for allocating memory. Third one is called fetching the cursor for retrieving data. Fourth step is called closing the cursor to release allocate memory. So this is called as the cursor memory or cursor locations. So means working with an explicit cursor involves 4 steps. So in this session we have some information related to database triggers. What is trigger? What are the events of triggering? Types of trigger is nothing but row trigger and statement trigger. Benefits of triggering: generating some derived, enforcing, event logging, auditing synchronous replication, replication of tables, imposing security authorization, preventing invalid transaction. What is cursor? Types of cursor: implicit cursor and explicit cursor. So what is implicit cursor? What is explicit cursor? And then one simple example for implicit cursor, and what is explicit cursor, and what are the steps of explicit cursor is nothing but declaring, opening, fetching and closing. Finally we can show the steps with the help of example. Okay, thank you. I will see you in next session.